Introducing our lovely guest panel today, as always, ABC24's political analyst Otis Sanford and Susan Thorpe of Thorpe Communications and Reverend Kenneth Whalen, pastor of New Olivet Baptist Church. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get into our first topic. That is the mayor's budget, or the plan that he presented for the city's 2026 budget. We'll touch on some of the bullet points from that. The total is over $883 million, $212 million for capital improvement, $630 on city personnel, and then about $11.9 million for neighborhood improvement. This was all what he laid out this week. And there was also just demands. There was MATA, an advocacy group for the Transit Authority, came and demanded more money for MATA, given all the problems there. But overall, a lot of the top issues that he wants to face are anti-blight, also wants to give more money to safety, public safety, materials and supplies for city workers. And then the one thing they didn't do with fiscal year 2025 was have a positive in the fund balance. So they want to leave $7 million in the fund balance, but the last fiscal year there was a $1.9 million deficit that year. So I will open it up. We'll start with you, Otis. The mayor's budget, what do you think? Your takeaways? Will it cover everything it needs to?
Well, I'm not sure that it will do all of that. But Susan and I were talking before the show. This is a status quo budget. I think that's a good word for it. No tax increase may sound good, but remember, this year is reappraisal year, property reappraisal. And it's very likely that your properties will go up in value anyway, which means that your property taxes will go up. And I didn't hear a whole lot of discussion about lowering the city property tax rate to compensate for it going up because of the reappraisal. I didn't hear any of that. So there needs to be some discussion about that. But overall, it's a flat budget. He said it was a flat budget. A lot, 70% of it is for personnel, and 79% of that is for police and fire, which is obviously a priority. The one thing that I did notice in a particular way was an effort to bring back the old property where the Southwest Twin Drive-In was and turn it into a police substation and a library. That neighborhood has been kind of neglected for a while, and I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. Well, I think it's nice to say that, we're not having a property tax increase, but just 12 months ago, the mayor in his first year, proposed that we have a 75-cent tax increase, and the council settled on 49 cents. So the 49-cent increase is applicable to the reappraisal this year. So we're getting really double whammied. And,
True.
But I think it is by law that the commission, when they set the tax rate, has to lower the tax rate in order to compensate for the amount of money that comes in from the new reappraisal. But as soon as they do that, 5 minutes later, I can assure you, they're going to raise the tax rate again. So they have that. It's just a quirk in the law that they're doing. But I looked at the budget. It is a status quo budget, and I find that interesting from a mayor who says we shouldn't be a status quo city. But the parks get an extra $3.3 million. The mayor's office, he has an extra $1 million going to his office. It doesn't say whether it's for new people or for salaries. But the biggest leap is in the city attorney's office. And the city attorney's office is getting $9.5 million more. And I don't know, I'm not involved in the budget, but I'm suspecting it's to help compensate for what's going to happen around the settlement with the Tyree Nichols case.
That's a good point.
Probably. Well, three things. First, the music to everybody's ears is no tax increase. That will cut for most taxpayers. Okay, good, and all this other stuff. But the other thing is an $880 million budget. It caused me to recall that when I was on the school board, the budget of the school board was $1.2 billion, right, which is greater than the city of Memphis budget. And the school system is one of the reasons that our city is bleeding tax revenue, because corporations are leaving town. They can't put up with it. And I would just say that the best thing about the budget is no tax increase. No
This
tax
year,
increase.
but
And-
we got it last year. We got smacked with 49-cent tax increase.
And we could have gotten one this year. That's my point. Come on.
I'm not sure that City Council had appetite to give him a tax increase this year.
Well, so this is the third thing I would say. With regard to the appraisals, I would encourage every property owner, when you get your notice, and I think most people have already gotten them, take advantage of your appeals, man. Go schedule your appeal, go down there, get all your information together. I'm a living witness that you can get it reduced.
There you go.
With the city and county kind of playing into each other when we talk about budget, what do you all think about the tax collection, the issues with tax collection from the county clerk's office, how that maybe affects budget planning and projections?
I don't know how that's gonna work with the county commission. I mean, it seems there's been a lot. There hasn't been much talk about it with Wanda Halbert and how she's collecting taxes, but I suspect it's pretty much worked out. So I don't know.
Well, if recent history teaches us anything, is that Ms. Halbert does not suffer any negative consequences from anything negative that happens in that office. So,
Well-
Otis,
Yeah,
you're the expert on that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, there was a group that showed up right ahead of the mayor's budget proposal, and it was a MATA advocacy group, and they were demanding that more be allotted. I think it's a current around $35 million that's always allotted to MATA. The mayor did not include that in the budget, but MATA, of course, they want to right the wrongs. Do you think it's worth putting more money into MATA, or where does that go from here?
I believe very much in public transportation, and I would like to see any kind of public transportation we have updated and streamlined and well-funded. But until MATA can figure out how they more efficiently run that place and do it in an honorable way so the taxpayers, again, aren't frustrated with them, then it's not going to happen.
At the very least, tell us what happened to the $60 million that's missing.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, we have too many problems going on that matter that money just can't not fix. And so I agree with Susan and Ken. We have to shore up the operation of MATA, the leadership at MATA, before we start to just piling more money into that operation. I'm a big believer in public transportation too, but we just can't throw, as the old saying says, good money after bad. We just can't do that.
And Young's also facing pressure, from these MATA advocates, but also from the Shelby County Health Department. So I want to turn our attention a little bit to that. Director Michelle Taylor coming at him about his handling of XAI and the potential of violating the Clean Air Act. She was very vocal about all the things that Mayor Young could be doing to put ordinances to make sure pollution isn't, just becoming a worse problem for South Memphis. So you all's thoughts on Michelle Taylor's comments and the letter that she did send to Mayor Young? I'll let you take notice.
I thought it was a bold move on Michelle Taylor's part to go public with criticism of the mayor on this. She's the health department director. The health department is responsible for environmental issues around this community, including the city of Memphis. And so I thought it was bold for her to do it. I think that Mayor Young should take it for what it is. Constructive criticism, and not just be a booster for what XAI and Elon Musk are doing in the city, or maybe even to the city. So I think that it was an appropriate thing to keep the conversation going, that people are watching what's going on here, and so don't try to sneak stuff past us.
The health department is responsible for services like air quality control and rat control and anything that affects our health. But I don't think people know, and maybe they shouldn't, those who do shouldn't forget, that the health department is created by the state constitution. The state constitution created 95 counties and only charged those counties with 3 things: have a jail, educate the children, and provide for the public health. And that's what the health department is doing. Even though she's an appointee of the county mayor, the city mayor should listen to her, that those people who live in South Memphis, in and around where XAI is, it's a threat. And it's not just us locally talking about it, national news has talked about it also.
And I'll withhold judgment on her letter and her statements about Mayor Young, but I'm looking now, and I think most people are looking at her now to see if she's going to carry out the duties that she's empowered to do by the state constitution, because this is, it's a tipping point, I think, in terms of the health of our community.
More remains to be seen.